Franklin Clinton. We've all played through his story in Grand Theft Auto 5. We've seen him go from a low-level repo man to a big-shot heist artist living in the Vinewood Hills. But have you ever stopped to think about what would happen if the long arm of the law actually caught up with him? Let's kick things off right at the beginning, the very first time we meet our boy Franklin. He's on a repossession job with his best buddy, the one and only Lamar Davis. Now, they're supposed to be repossessing a specific car, but thanks to a chance encounter with Michael DeSanta, they end up targeting the wrong whip. Now, they are actively participating in the illegal repossession of a vehicle. This is Grand Theft Auto and is gonna land him 5 years in prison. But we are just getting started. During this little carjacking adventure, Franklin isn't exactly obeying the rules of the road. He's engaged in a high-speed chase, maneuvering through traffic and generally driving like a complete and utter maniac. This is reckless driving, and for that little stunt, he's looking at 6 months in jail, a hefty $2,500 fine, and points off his license. Not that he probably has a legitimate license to begin with, let's be real. But the chaos doesn't stop there. By driving at those speeds and putting every other civilian on the road at risk of a fiery death, he's also committing reckless endangerment. That tacks on another 6 years to his rapidly growing sentence. And of course, what happens when you're committing multiple felonies in broad daylight? The cops show up. Does Franklin pull over and face the music? Does he accept responsibility for his actions? Hell no, he floors it. This is fleeing police, a classic move for any career criminal. That's another 1 year added to the tab. Next up, Franklin and Lamar are sent by that slimeball Simeon to repossess a motorcycle, a bagger from a Vagos-controlled neighborhood in Vespucci. They roll up and Lamar immediately escalates it into a full-blown gunfight, and Franklin starts blasting away at Vagos gang members. Every time he pulls that trigger and a Vago hits the pavement, he's committing aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, which carries a penalty of 10 years. But he's not just shooting at them, he's killing them. Let's be clear, even if they are rival gang members, killing someone is still murder. Let's say he kills at least 3 Vagos in the shootout, so that's 3 life sentences. During this shootout, a car gets shot, crashes, and starts leaking fuel. Does Franklin call the fire department? No. He shoots the puddle of gasoline, causing a massive explosion. That is arson, which not only gets you 10 years in prison, but also a $25,000 fine. The cherry on top is that during the chase, if the player chooses, Franklin can hunt down and kill the owner of the bike, Esteban Jimenez. That's another count of murder, another life sentence. So now we're up to 4 life sentences. After all that bloodshed, he finally gets his hands on the motorcycle, which, let's not forget, is the original reason they were there. This is another act of unlawful taking of property, specifically grand theft, because a motorcycle is a valuable item. Given it's a vehicle, it could also be another charge of Grand Theft Auto, adding another 5 years to his sentence. Lamar decides to keep the bike for himself, which leads to Simeon blaming Franklin. So what happens after this bloodbath? Simeon, furious about the missing bike, fires both Franklin and Lamar. Franklin, now jobless, remembers that Michael DeSanta offered him a drink, so he decides to pay a visit to Michael's mansion. The first thing Franklin does when he gets to the DeSanta residence is encounter a gardener. He walks right up and knocks the poor guy unconscious. That is a textbook definition of assault, and since he knocked him out cold, let's call it the high end and give him 1 year for that. After disabling the hired help, he proceeds to sneak into the DeSanta household without permission. This is trespassing, which is another 1 year and a $1,000 fine. He's there to see Michael, but he ends up being directed to steal a car. This elevates the crime to breaking and entering, which is a more serious offense that carries a 3-year sentence. So he's inside the house illegally and steals Jimmy DeSanta's yellow SUV. Another count of Grand Theft Auto. That's another 5 years for the collection. Little does he know, Michael is hiding in the back seat. Michael pulls a gun on him, and at this point, Franklin is acting under duress. But what does Michael have him do? He orders him to drive the stolen SUV right through the front window of Simeon's dealership. This is vandalism and destruction of property. More importantly, Michael then pays Franklin for this. This establishes a pattern of Franklin being a criminal for hire. He's willingly accepting payment for criminal acts. Shortly after the dealership incident, he joins Michael to borrow Amanda's car. This is, once again, taking a vehicle without permission, so we can add another charge of grand theft auto, bringing another 5 years to his sentence. They then use this car to chase down the people who stole Michael's yacht. This chase is incredibly dangerous and takes place on a busy freeway. That's another clear case of reckless driving for 6 months and reckless endangerment for 6 years. During this, Franklin climbs onto the moving car and leaps onto the stolen yacht to fight the thieves. This is just bonkers. Boarding a vehicle, especially a boat, without permission is another form of breaking and entering, so we'll add 3 years for that. Once on board, he gets into a physical fight with the armed goons. He's punching and fighting them off, which is assault. Given the context, we'll give him the middle range penalty of 6 months. But they are armed, and he's fighting for his life and trying to save Jimmy. He didn't initiate this particular fight on the boat, however, he willingly participated in the criminal enterprise that led to it, which complicates things immensely. After they rescue Jimmy and recover the car, they take it to Los Santos Customs to get it repaired using Michael's money. This shows he's retaining possession of a stolen vehicle and is involved in the cover-up. And if you thought things couldn't get more ridiculous, you'd be wrong. After Michael catches his wife with her tennis coach, he and Franklin chase the coach to a stunning modernist house in the Vinewood Hills. Believing the house belongs to the coach, Michael and Franklin use a pickup truck and a winch to pull the entire deck off the house, effectively destroying it. This is a massive act of property destruction. Given the scale of the destruction, we can comfortably apply a 10-year sentence here. Of course, it turns out the house didn't belong to the tennis coach. It belonged to the lover of a very powerful and very dangerous drug lord, Martin Madrazo. Madrazo shows up, beats Michael with a baseball bat, and demands they pay $2.5 million for the repairs. So now, not only has Franklin participated in destroying a house, but he's also indebted to a cartel boss. Let's not forget about Franklin's old crew. He's still tangled up with Lamar and the families. In one mission, he and Lamar, with their faces covered, go to confront a rival gang member named D. Lamar pulls a gun, initiating a hostile confrontation. Franklin is right there with him, making him an accomplice. This is attempted assault with a deadly weapon, so 5-year sentence. Then they chase D through the streets in Lamar's van. Another instance of reckless driving, 6 months, and reckless endangerment, 6 years. After D flees on foot, Franklin sicks his dog Chop on him. Chop bites D, allowing Franklin to catch him. Using an animal to attack someone is still a form of assault, so we can add another assault charge for 3 months. Then they force D into their van against his will. This is, without a doubt, kidnapping. That's a straight 7 years in prison. And while they're driving, Lamar tries to get a ransom for D, calling the Ballas and demanding $40,000. This elevates the crime from simple kidnapping to extortion or attempted ransom. Extortion carries a 10-year sentence. Franklin, to his credit, seems to realize how insane this is. He throws Lamar's phone away and tells him to let D go. While he ultimately puts a stop to the extortion part, he was a willing participant in the kidnapping up to that point. The gang life foolishness continues. Lamar gets an idea for a drug deal arranged by their supposed friend, Stretch. Franklin, along with Lamar and Stretch, head to a warehouse to make the deal. Before they even get there, Franklin acquires a pump shotgun. This is an illegal weapon possession, which nets him a 1-year sentence. At the warehouse, Stretch, showing his true colors, executes D in cold blood. Franklin is right there, witnessing a murder. By being part of the criminal enterprise that led to this moment, he becomes complicit. Immediately after the murder, a massive shootout erupts with the Ballas. Franklin once again engages in a gunfight, killing numerous rival gang members. Let's say he kills 5 Ballas here. That's 5 more life sentences stacked on top of the others. Then the police show up, including a helicopter. What does Franklin do? He shoots the helicopter down. He's not just shooting at police officers, he's shooting at a police aircraft. This is attempted murder of law enforcement, a crime that would get you put under the jail. It's also destruction of government property. To escape this absolute war zone, the crew steals a car off the street. That's another grand theft auto, another 5 years. Michael contacts him for the Vangelico jewelry store heist. Franklin's all in. Depending on the player's choice, his role varies, but either way, he's committing serious felonies. In the smart approach, he starts by climbing onto the roof of the building. That's breaking and entering, good for 3 years. He then deploys tear gas into the ventilation system. This could be considered the use of an illegal weapon or even administering a toxic substance. He's an active participant in an armed robbery. Even though he's just the getaway driver, he's a crucial part of the conspiracy. The main crime here is grand larceny, as they are stealing incredibly valuable jewelry. That's an 8-year sentence. In the loud approach, he storms the store with Michael, brandishing a weapon and threatening hostages. This is armed robbery and assault with a deadly weapon, which is 10 years. Regardless of the approach, the escape is a crime in itself. He's on a motorcycle, leading the police on a high-speed chase through the city and into the sewer system. That's reckless driving, 6 months. Evading law enforcement, 1 year, and resisting arrest, 2 years. Finally, he delivers the stolen jewelry to Lester's lockup. This makes him part of the final stage of the crime, conspiracy and what would realistically be money laundering. Conspiracy itself is a 14-year sentence. Now we get to the really messy stuff. Michael gets dragged into doing dirty work for the FIB, specifically for agents Dave Norton and Steve Haynes. And because Michael is Franklin's mentor, Franklin gets dragged in too. This is coercion. Franklin is being manipulated and pressured by corrupt federal agents to commit crimes. The problem is this defense is incredibly hard to prove. Did Haynes or Norton hold a gun to Franklin's head and force him to participate? Not directly. Franklin also gets paid for these jobs. He sees them as opportunities. Let's look at the mission to extract Karimov from the IAA building. Franklin's job is to provide sniper support from a nearby rooftop. The moment he takes up that position with a sniper rifle, he's committing illegal weapon possession, which is 1 year. When the IAA agents have Michael cornered, Franklin opens fire, killing federal agents. He kills multiple agents on the ground, and then, when IAA helicopters arrive, he shoots down a pilot. That's another murder, another life sentence, and also the destruction of an aircraft. Then comes the Blitzplay mission, a full-on armored car robbery in broad daylight orchestrated by the FIB. Franklin starts by ramming the armored truck with a tow truck. That's aggravated assault, another 10 years. He then plants explosives on the truck's doors and detonates them. That's the illegal use of explosives and destruction of property. This is a federal crime, so another 10 years. Once the truck is open, they steal the bearer bonds inside. This is armed robbery and theft, specifically grand larceny, which nets him 8 years. When the police inevitably show up, an insane firefight breaks out. Franklin is engaged in a prolonged gun battle with dozens of LSPD officers. This is a massive charge of assaulting an official, which is 10 years. But it's more than that. He's actively trying to kill them. This would be multiple counts of attempted murder of police officers. Each count would carry a life sentence. Let's be generous and say he only gets charged for 5 attempts. That's 5 more life sentences. After the battle, he escapes in a garbage truck, which is evading police pursuit, 1 year. And then he destroys the truck to get rid of the evidence. That is destruction of evidence and obstruction of justice that would add several more years to his sentence, likely in the range of 5 to 10. Let's call it 5 years. Even as he's ascending in the criminal world, his old life keeps pulling him back. There's the infamous Hood Safari mission. He goes with Lamar and Trevor to Grove Street for a supposed cocaine deal that Stretch set up. This is attempted drug trafficking. When Trevor discovers the cocaine brick is actually drywall, a shootout erupts with the Ballas. Once again, Franklin is in a gang war, committing attempted murder and assault with a deadly weapon on dozens of rival gang members. Each Balla he drops is another potential murder charge, another life sentence. When the police arrive, he's also guilty of resisting arrest and fleeing law enforcement. To escape, they steal jet skis from the beach. That's another fun charge of grand theft auto, adding another 5 years to his sentence. Then we have the Merryweather heist. The crew's target is a highly classified superweapon. This is beyond just stealing money. This is venturing into military-grade theft and terrorism. In the freighter approach, Franklin's role is again as a sniper. He starts by killing Merryweather guards to provide cover for Michael. Merryweather is a private military company, so these are still murder charges. Each guard is a life sentence. When a helicopter shows up, he shoots it down. That's another murder and destruction of property. He's aiding and abetting the theft of a military asset, a crime that would likely be tried under anti-terrorism laws and carry a life sentence for weapons of mass destruction trafficking. In the offshore method, his role is more defensive, but he's still mowing down pursuing Merryweather helicopters and boats with a machine gun. This is still countless counts of attempted murder, each carrying a potential life sentence. Even though Lester makes them return the device, they still committed all the crimes to get it in the first place. Franklin's career also takes a turn into more specialized work. He gets employed by the billionaire Devin Weston to steal a collection of rare cars. In one mission, this involves Franklin participating in an illegal street race. That's reckless driving, 6 months. Then, with the help of Michael and Trevor, they steal the high-end cars from the other racers. That's 2 more counts of Grand Theft Auto for a total of 10 years. He then delivers these stolen vehicles to a chop shop, which is possession and delivery of stolen property, a crime that would likely fall under grand larceny, adding 8 years. Then there are the assassination missions for Lester. This is contract killing. In the hotel assassination, he snipes a CEO. That's murder, a life sentence. In the multi-target assassination, he kills 4 jurors. That's 4 more counts of murder, 4 more life sentences. In the Vice assassination, he kills another CEO. Another murder, another life sentence. In the bus assassination, he first impersonates a bus driver to ambush his target, so that's impersonation, which is 4 years, followed by the murder of his target, another life sentence. In the construction assassination, he fights his way through a construction site, killing armed security guards. There are more murders, more life sentences. Then he kills his main target by shooting down his helicopter. Another murder, another life sentence. The crew's ambition just keeps growing. They decide to rob the Blaine County Savings Bank, a bank known for holding dirty money from corrupt cops. Franklin's role is as the getaway driver, which makes him part of the conspiracy to commit armed robbery from the start, a 14-year sentence. When the initial plan goes wrong, he improvises by stealing a massive bulldozer from a construction site. That's Grand Theft Auto on a whole new scale, so that's 5 years. He then uses this bulldozer to smash through military resistance to rescue Michael and Trevor. He's destroying military vehicles, which is destruction of government property, and aiding his friends in their armed robbery. This also constitutes reckless endangerment, so that's 6 years. He then has to fight off soldiers at a railway platform. These are attacks on military personnel, which would be treated even more seriously than attacks on police. These are multiple counts of attempted murder, each carrying a life sentence. Then there's the raid on Humane Labs, where they are tasked with stealing a chemical weapon. Franklin's part of the conspiracy to commit theft and terrorism, which would be a life sentence. He helps coordinate the delivery and transport of a prohibited chemical agent. This is a federal crime of the highest order. He's knowingly participating in a plot that could kill thousands of people. He's helping to cover up the crime by conferring with Michael and Dave Norton, which is obstruction of justice, 5 years. The car theft for Devin Weston ends in one final chaotic mission. Franklin and Lamar have the last car, a Pegassi Monroe. This is another count of Grand Theft Auto, 5 years. They are transporting a whole truckload of stolen vehicles, making them guilty of possession of stolen property on a massive scale. When the police give chase, Franklin gets into the weaponized JB-700. He uses its built-in machine guns and caltrops against the pursuing police officers. This is a blatant direct attack on law enforcement. It's assault with a deadly weapon, 10 years, and multiple counts of attempted murder of law enforcement officers, each carrying a life sentence. When Devin Weston refuses to pay them, it doesn't erase the mountain of felonies they just committed to get him the cars. Things get personal when the Triads kidnap Michael. Franklin, showing some loyalty, decides to rescue him. He uses an app from Lester to illegally trace Michael's phone signal. That's cybercrime or unauthorized surveillance, which nets him a 10-year sentence. He then storms the slaughterhouse where Michael is being held. This is breaking and entering 3 years. Inside, he gets into a massive shootout with dozens of Triad gang members. He kills a whole lot of people to get to Michael. These are all individual counts of murder, each one a life sentence. Let's say he kills 10 triads here. That's 10 more life sentences. After freeing Michael, they have to fight their way out, killing even more triads. It's a bloodbath. He's not rescuing a hostage, he's participating in a gang war and committing mass murder. The crimes just don't stop. For the Bureau raid, another job for the FIB, Franklin is again a key player. In the fire crew approach, he impersonates a firefighter to gain access to the FIB building. That's impersonation of justice, which is 4 years. He plants explosives, which is illegal use of explosives and destruction of property, 10 years. He steals a hard drive containing government data, which is theft of government property, a very serious form of grand larceny, 8 years. During the escape, he fights off FIB agents. These are federal officers. Every agent he shoots at is a count of attempted murder of a federal officer, a life sentence. He then destroys the fire truck they used to escape, which is destruction of evidence and obstruction of justice, 5 years. In the roof approach, it's a similar story. An armed assault on a federal building, countless murders of federal agents, and theft of government property. Either way, he's looking at multiple life sentences just from this one mission. Near the end of the story, Tanisha tells Franklin that Stretch has set Lamar up again, and he's being held by the Ballas at a sawmill. Franklin, along with Michael and Trevor, decide to go rescue him. This is once again a conspiracy to commit a violent crime, 14 years. They drive to the sawmill with a car full of guns, which is illegal transport of firearms. Then they storm the place, and another massive shootout ensues. Franklin kills dozens of Ballas to save his friend. Again, while his motive might seem noble, in the eyes of the law, it's just more murder. Dozens more life sentences get added to the pile. It's vigilantism, plain and simple. And finally, we have the grand finale, the big one, the Union Depository heist. This is the score of a lifetime, and the crimes are just as big. In the subtle approach, he's an accessory to sabotage when they disable the security vans. He then participates in the armed robbery and kidnapping of the guards, 7 years. He uses his phone to hack the city's traffic light system, a major act of cybercrime, 10 years, and reckless endangerment, 6 years, that could cause dozens of accidents. He then gets into a firefight with Merryweather mercenaries, which is more attempted murder, life sentences. And finally, he drives away with millions of dollars in stolen gold, which is grand larceny, 8 years, and grand theft auto, 5 years. In the obvious approach, it's even more blatant. He uses an industrial drill to break into the vault, which is breaking and entering, 3 years. He uses explosives to breach the doors, another case of illegal use of explosives and destruction of property, 10 years. He then holds off waves of noose tactical units, which means more attempted murders of law enforcement officers and more life sentences. So, after all is said and done, what is the final exact brutal tally for Franklin Clinton? He has accumulated 340 years of standard prison time for his lesser crimes. He has to pay $53,500 in fines, and most damning of all, by our conservative estimates, he is responsible for crimes resulting in 101 life sentences, or nearly 1,000 years in jail.